Jai Sriman Narayan. Jai Sriman Narayan. Jai. I pay my obeisances to my spiritual master, Srimad Jagadguru Sudarshan Acharya Ji Maharaj. I pay my obeisances to Lord Sri Ramanuj. I pay my obeisances to Mother Lakshmi. And I pay my obeisances to Lord Sriman Narayan. I welcome all of you here physically at the Sri Narayan Dham in Durban, South Africa. I welcome all of you that's watching this discourse on live feed, locally, nationally, and internationally. And I welcome all of you that will be watching this discourse when it is posted in the various groups around the world. We continue with our discussion on the Bhagavad Gita. And just a quick background. We are discussing the Bhagavad Gita as it was spoken by Lord Sriman Narayan through his incarnation as Lord Sri Krishna. This discussion is not a view, or it is not within the parameters of a particular philosophy. This discussion is as God really spoke it. From time to time, certain gurus, through discussing either the Vedas or the Bhagavad Gita, they coin their own interpretation, their own understanding, and their own philosophy. In order to discuss Sanatan Dharma, there are three means. The first mean is through authority. The second mean is through perception. And the third mean is through inference. There are three types of authorities in Sanatan Dharma, of which the knowledge contained therein is called the Vedas. The first authority is the Vedas itself. The end portion of the Vedas, called the Upanishads. The second authority is the Brahma Sutras, and the third authority is the Bhagavad Gita itself. Inference means using logic and common sense. today, in this satsang, our members who set up this hall did not use logic and common sense. This entire hall was closed and everybody was breathing the same oxygen, and this caused Shanti to have a lack of oxygen because common sense and logic was not used. The third means is perception. Perception is through the sensory organs. So you can see, you can hear, and through seeing and hearing, you formulate an understanding. To understand the Vedas, God Himself has made adequate representation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself made adequate representation so that man need not interpret God, but simply follow God. And the confusion arises in Sanatan Dharma, where man started interpreting into philosophies his original instruction. Every country has a constitution, or every legal country has a constitution. And you get various people, especially during the elections, on TV. What you call it? Sita? These people that will come and now interpret and give their views on particular political parties. They become experts, analysts. You call them political analysts. So each political analyst will give his or her own particular view on a particular aspect of the Constitution. And then you'll get a legal analyst, and he will try and give you a legal view of the Constitution, which is not necessary. The Constitution is spoken in simple language. It does not need any analysis because it is not ambiguous. Similarly, the Vedas is spoken in Sanskrit and then translated into English in very simple forms. There is no need and there is no justification for man to analyze God's spoken words. For man does not have capacity to analyze his own words and live within accordance of his own parameters that he sets up. Every new year, thousands of people, zillions, I think every human will say, I will not do this. From the 1st of January. From the 14th of January, they back in their old ways. The pubs are full again. The smoking dens and the drug dens are full again. Men do not have capacity. And how on earth they try to analyze the spoken word of God is really mind-boggling. So we come from a system that is eternal. Our system is called Sri Vaishnavism. Sri Vaishnavism does not interpret or analyze the Vedas. We present God's words and God's instruction as it was spoken by God Himself. Presently, there are three metaphysical thoughts or schools of thoughts that is inherent in our spiritual domain. One school of thought is called Advaita. Advaita means that the Supreme Lord and the common soul is one. Then there is a system called Dvaita, where the common soul and the Supreme Lord is independent. And then there is God's instruction called Visheshadvaita, wherein it states that God and man is one, in that God and man is inseparable. So God and nature is one, in that God and nature is inseparable. And nature forms the body of the living entity. God resides within every atom of nature, and God also resides within every soul that exists. So each one of you seated here today, within your very soul, seated in lotus position, is Lord Sriman Narayan. Your soul forms the body of God. God is embodied by your soul, and you are embodied by material nature. Your soul, material nature, is also embodied by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There can never be a space that is not God. There cannot be a space that is not God. So this is Vishesh Advaita, and throughout the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Sri Krishna speaks Vishesh Advaita. So based on the Vishesh Advaita background, I'm going to continue to discuss a few passages from the Bhagavad Gita where we stopped some weeks ago. First, Verse 38. The commentary of the Bhagavad Gita by Lord Sri Ramanuj 1,000 years ago. The translation of the Sanskrit verses by Lord Sri Ramanuj 1,000 years ago. Verse 38 of the Bhagavad Gita. Though these people whose minds are overpowered by greed see no evil in the destruction of a clan and no sin in treachery to friends. 39. Why should we not learn to shun this crime? We who see the evil of ruining a clan, O Krishna. Verse 40. Would the ruin of a clan perish its ancient traditions? And when traditions perish, lawlessness overtakes the whole clan. Verse 41. When lawlessness prevails, O Krishna, the women of the clan become corrupt. When women become corrupt, there arises intermixture of classes. Verse 42. This mixing of classes leads to hell, the clan itself and its destroyers, for the spirits of their ancestors fall degraded, deprived of the ritual offerings of food and water. Verse 43. By the sins of the clan destroyers, who brings about intermixture of classes, the ancient traditions of the clans and class are destroyed. Verse 44. For those whose clans are destroyed, dwelling in hell is ordained, O Krishna. Thus have we heard. Alas, we have resolved to commit a great sin in that we are ready to slay our kith and kin out of desire for sovereignty and enjoyments. Verse 46. If the well-armed sons of Dhastarashtra would slay me in battle, unresisting and unarmed, that will be better for me. Sanjaya said, having spoken thus on the battlefield, Arjuna threw aside his bow and arrows and sat on the seat of the chariot, his heart overwhelmed with grief. This is a commentary on these verses by Lord Sri Ramanuj. And he says, Sanjaya continued and he explains, and I quote, the high-minded Arjuna, extremely kind, deeply friendly, and supremely righteous, having brothers like himself, though repeatedly deceived by treacherous attempts of your people, like burning in the lark house, etc., and therefore fit to be killed by him with the help of the Supreme Person, nevertheless said, I will not fight. He felt weak, overcome as he was by his love and extreme compassion for his relatives. He was so filled with fear, not knowing what was righteous and what was unrighteous. His mind was tortured by grief because of the thought of future separation from his relatives. So he threw away his bow and sat down on the chariot as if to fast to death. Chapter 2. And Sanjaya said, and remember Sanjaya is describing the scene to Dastarastra, who is blind, and Sanjaya is describing the scene through divine vision, for he is not at the battle of Kuruksetra himself. And this is what Sanjaya says. He says, and I quote, verse 1, chapter 2, "To him who was thus overcome with pity, whose eyes were wet with tears, who was sorrow-stricken and who bore a bewildered look, Lord Sri Krishna spoke as follows. The Lord said, 'Whence comes on you this despondency, O Arjuna, in this crisis? It is unfit for a noble person. It is disgraceful and it obstructs one's attainment of heaven. Yield not to unmanliness, O Arjuna, it does not become you. Shake off this base faint-heartedness and arise, O scorcher of foes.'" Lord Sri Ramanuja's commentary, and I quote, "When Arjuna thus sat, the Lord, opposing his action, said, 'What is the reason for your misplaced grief? Arise for battle, abandoning this grief, which has risen in a critical situation, which can come only in men of wrong understanding, which is an obstacle for reaching heaven, which does not confer fame on you, which is very mean and which is caused by faint-heartedness." Verse 4, Arjuna said, "Oh, how can I, O slayer of foe, aim arrows in the battle against Bhisma and Drona, who are worthy of reverence? It is better," verse 5, "it is better even to live on a beggar's fare in this world than to slay these most venerable teachers. If I should slay my teachers, though degraded they be by desire for wealth, I would be enjoying only blood-stained pleasures here." And Lord Sri Ramanuj commentates, "Again Arjuna, being moved by love, compassion and fear, mistaking unrighteousness for righteousness, and not understanding, that is, not knowing the beneficial words of Sri Krishna, said as follow, 'How can I slay Bhisma, Drona and others worthy of reverence? After slaying those elders, though they are intensely attached to enjoyments, how can I enjoy those very pleasures which are now being enjoyed by them? For it will be mixed with their blood.'" Verse 6, "We do not know which of the two is better for us, whether our vanquishing them or whether their vanquishing us. The very sons of Dastaratra, whom if we slay, we should not wish to live, even if they are standing in array against us. With my heart stricken by the fault of weak compassion, with my mind perplexed about my duty, I request you to say for certain what is good for you. I am your disciple. Teach me, who have taken refuge in you." In the context of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is the best friend of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He took his part of ignorance of the supreme law in the Bhagavad Gita so that you and I, 5,000 years later, can understand the battles that's raging within. We, our minds, is the battlefield. And within this battlefield, we are both ignorant of the supreme law and confused to which action we must take. From all these verses that I read, you would hear Arjuna speaking as if he is very learned. You heard him from the verses. He spoke about the clans, intermixture of clans, women would become degraded. He knew the moral laws, but he did not know the supreme law. Moral laws can help you up to a point, which is good, but above the moral law is the supreme law. And God created 4 classes of human in society. These classes are existing naturally. They are existing naturally, and people from around the world fit into these classes. Whether they believe it or do not believe it, it does not matter. But these 4 classes are prevalent in every corner of the world. And the first class is the Brahmana class or the priestly class. And those that are in this class will give you knowledge of God. So around the world, there's pastors, there's gurus, there's Maulanas, and there's Sangomas. Yes, there's all types of people that fit into this class called the religious class, who endeavor to make your life better through religion. Does it exist or does not exist? It exists in the Western world, it exists in the Asian world, it exists in the African world. Does it not? Yes. So this is natural. God created this class of men naturally, or this domain, let us call it a domain. Then there's the second class. It's called the Kshatriya class. Kshatriya in Sanskrit means the ruling or the administrative class. And again, in every part of the world, you have a leader who's leading society. They are called presidents, prime ministers, kings, but this domain is natural. It is natural. Put a group of 3 or 4 people together, immediately one would become the leader. It's natural. It is created by the Supreme Lord Himself. And then there's the Vaishyas class. The Vaishyas class is the commercial class, which most of you want to be, business people. Business people. So again, you put 3 or 4 people together, one of them will be very business-minded. He'll say, give me your 20 rand, I'll give you my shoes. So you don't get poked on the thorns. He made a sale. So you get the business class. Today we have stock exchange, treasury, and we have various institutions that's controlling money. In those days, there were farmers and people kept cattle. So you give me 100 pockets of potato, I'll give you a chicken. It was trade. Is it not trade? So this was natural. Today it came in rands and cents or dollars, but it started off with what I have and you don't have, what I have in abundance you don't have, and we will trade. And then there's the working class. Every society needs someone to do the work with the spade. In India, there's Indians doing spade work. In Europe, there's Europeans doing spade work. In Africa, there's Africans doing spade work. In America, there's Americans doing spade work. So does these 4 classes exist naturally? Do you have to have a birthright in this class, or is it your action in a class that identifies you? It's your action in the class that identifies you, Darren. So when your parents said go to school, and if you didn't go to school, then you might have to do spade work. The choice was whose? Darren, your choice. If your parents said go to school and you went to university, somebody else would be doing your spade work. So spade work is not by birth. Being a priest and a Maulana is not because your father was a Maulana, you will be a Maulana. You have to live the life of a Maulana to be a Maulana. You have to live the life of a pastor to be a pastor. You have to live the life of a guru to be a guru. All of you understand? So God created these natural social orders. Remember, India was invaded first by the Muslim Mughals for 700 years and subsequently by the British. And these cunning British people, they learned Sanskrit because they said to fight the enemy you must know the language and the culture of the enemy. So they learned Sanskrit and they misinterpreted the Vedas and they created the caste system. There is no caste system in the Vedas. This caste system was promulgated by the British when British invaded India. There's no high caste and low caste. There is no high caste and low caste. There's the Brahmana social order, the Kshatriyas social order, the Vaishyas social order, and the Sudra social order. Sudra social order is the working class. You have a right to be in any of these 4 classes. If you want to be a Brahmin, Darren, give meat up, alcohol up, all your nonsense, give it, and you become a Brahmin. You can wear kurta like the Guru, you'll get a beautiful seat like this for you, and you can discuss the Vedas. Darren? You can discuss the appearance. Alright? If you don't want to become a guru, then you can join Malema. Okay, Malema I have a few years, not going to go far. Alright? Join a political party that you believe is going to be long enough, and you can become a Kshatriya. Kshatriya is the ruling class. You can be in politics. The Guru himself was in politics. I can teach you the way. Alright? We'll get you posters and you'll have your face all over. Vote for Darren. Alright? Please do not put any poster in Mia Bank. People will be in hospital. It will be very dangerous for the people to see your photograph in Mia Bank, especially if you say vote for Darren. Alright? If you don't want to be a politician, then you can become a businessman like Vasan. Alright? You can be Darren's air conditioning, SA. Vasan is just simply Vas Air. You can be Darren's air conditioning, SA. But please do not steal his customers. As you work with him now, learn, but do not steal his customers, because that is what Arjuna is crying. Arjuna is despondent because his cousin stole his kingdom. Okay, his cousin stole his kingdom. Although his cousin stole his kingdom, he is so compassionate that on the brink of war, alright, there's million warriors on this side, there's millions of warriors on this side, he has compassion for his people. Just like that, you must have compassion and don't steal the aircon contracts. Alright? Otherwise you'll be like Duryodhan. He is the unrighteous person in this war. He's standing on one side, and Arjuna is the righteous person. He's on this other side. Which side do you want to be on, Darren? Darren? This side is the unrighteous side. Darren wants to be on the righteousness. Alright? So, it is man, and this is why I have come strong in my discourse in the Bhagavad Gita. Because man interprets God's words to suit his own purposes. Like the British, they interpreted the social order, natural social order set by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they changed it to the caste system. There is no caste system in Sanatan Dharma. They enforced the caste system into high class and low class. There's only one class, the class of love. There is no other class. Alright? So, Arjuna is now confused. On one hand, he understands all the moral background of being a human. He is ignorant of the supreme law. His job is a Kshatriya. A Kshatriya is the ruling class, and when you are in the ruling class, your job is to protect the people that you are ruling. So he was a soldier. What is the duty of a soldier? To fight. Okay, let us imagine Chris. Chris, from which country you are? Malawi, alright? So Chris is from Malawi, he is now in the ashram. He is living with us in South Africa. Then we make Chris a soldier. He is a South African citizen, we make him a soldier. We place him at the border, Chris. We're placing you at the border. Then some Malawians are trying to cross the border. What you going to do, Chris? Chris? Some people from Malawi is coming into South Africa, and now we make you a police for South Africa to make sure nobody cross the border. When the Malawi come, what you do? You lock them up in the jail, or you tell them come quietly inside? What you do? Can you see Arjuna? Arjuna had the same problem that Chris is having today. When it comes to your kith and clan, when it comes to your own family, when it comes to people that you are related to, then you don't want to act. Do you understand? Whether it's righteous or unrighteous, we are not steeped in principles enough. When you are in this condition, when you don't know what is right, when you don't know what is wrong, when you are confused, when your mind is being bombarded from many, many, many directions, it is called depression. It is called depression. This battle at Kuruksetra did take place 5,000 years ago. Okay? We have discovered the city of Dwarika that Lord Shri Krishna sang. 15 years ago, that city was discovered with all the paraphernalia that's described in the Mahabharata that existed 5,000 years ago. So this discussion did take place in its gross form 5,000 years ago at Kuruksetra. I was fortunate together with Vasan, our cameraman today, to actually touch the tree that Lord Shri Krishna played on when he was a boy. His footprints still exist on that tree. His footprints, Lord Shri Krishna's footprints, exist on that tree. And this is not open for public view. We were just walking past when the custodian of this tree called us in and took us for a tour around the tree. And not only that, he gave me 3 berries from this tree which I have in my kutir. This is a tree that Lord Shri Krishna really played on. And I have those berries. I think we need to encase it, preserve it and encase it, and we can keep it on our shrine. So this battle did take place in its gross form. What is gross? Yes, Lord Shri Krishna appeared in his gross form. This battle continues to take place in the mind of every human being in its subtle form. Does it not? Today, who is sitting here with the mind not in battle? Today, who is sitting here not knowing what to do next? And Arjuna, the best friend of God, he took the part of those that are in trouble today, and he is leading. What did he do? What did he tell Lord Shri Krishna? The last verse that I read, what did he say? Verse 7. Would my heart stricken by the fault of weak compassion, would my mind perplexed about my duty, I request you to say for certain what is good for me. I am your disciple. Teach me, who have taken refuge in you. What is this verse saying? Now, after trying his own way, first we want to try our own way. After trying his own way, he realized that he cannot make any tangible headway. He is against a brick wall, and he realized that there is a higher power than himself. And if he submits to that higher power, then that higher power will enlighten him in the direction that he must take. So this is a message for those of you that are physically present here, for those of you that are watching this discourse on this live feed, and those that's going to be watching this discourse in the various groups. Whatever situation you are in life, you and I are not God's best friend. Arjuna was God's best friend. Being God's best friend, he did not have any solutions. Being God's best friend, he did not have any solutions. Similarly, I hear this often. I pray so much. I take all the vows. I do all my prayers. Why am I suffering? If you pray to God, you are striking a friendship or an association, aren't you? You are striking a friendship or an association. When two friends meet, what do? You connect, you talk, isn't? You communicate. So you go and communicate with God in your prayer room, and you strike up a friendship. You strike up a friendship. You order and you ask God to deliver. It's a business relationship. You are a Vaishyas. Okay? You say, God, if A, B, and C happens, then I will do D, E, and F. If A, B, and C happens, then I will do D, E, and F. All of you understand? How many of you went in your prayer room on your own and said, God, I love you? When? But really, I'm saying really, Sita, I'm saying really. Alright? We are taught from childhood that God is will always give you something. Aren't we? We thought from childhood, from baby, that if you pray, God will give. I have not read any scriptures, alright, in Sanatan Dharma where it says if you pray and God will give. It is a natural impulse for a human in the times of need to pray. It is instinctive, is it not? Even an atheist, even an atheist. An atheist is a non-believer in God as long as nothing is wrong with them. But as soon as something happens to an atheist, they won't have the concept of God, but they will say, God help me. It is instinctive because beyond atheism is the soul. And the soul is intrinsically connected to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it is that eternal relationship of the soul that relies on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So I'm using two words, rely and worship. Rely and worship. Which you think is greater? To rely on God or to worship God? Yasmin? Worship. Sita?
Worship.
Dhana? Rely on God. Because when you rely on God, you submit to Him. When you rely on God, you submit to Him. When you worship Him, you are on the level of Arjuna. You are friendly with God. And Arjuna was God's best friend. He had no way out of his dilemma. But he lost his friendship, and what he said? I now am your disciple. I surrender to you. Darren, you know what this means in your language? Don't be God's bra. And don't say God is my bra. Don't say God is my bra. Alright? You must say God is my provider. God is my provider. And I submit to God. Okay? So, how many of you really going to submit to God today? Everyone should start submitting to God. After submitting to God, then you can worship Him in gratitude. You understand? Submit to Him first, then worship Him in gratitude. Because if you do not submit to Him and worship Him, what relationship do you have? What connection do you have? You only see God in your prayer room, isn't it? But we need to see God everywhere. When you jump in your car, God must be with you. When you go to work, God must be with you. When you go into your bathroom, God must be with you. When you submit, and I want you to submit like a kitten. Have you all seen newborn kittens? Have you all seen newborn kittens? They just lay there. Alright? Now the mouth of the cat grabs the kitten on the neck and moves it from point A to point B, and the kitten is in total submission. The kitten is not scared. You don't hear those kittens crying. Have anybody seen this? You have seen it? Yes. I think they're blind when the mother moves them. They can't even see. But because they have submitted to the will of the mother, they know no dog is going to attack them. They don't run. If you take them from there and place them there, they stay there. And this is how you should submit to God. That is total submission. Remember the same mouth of the cat. That same mouth of the cat that lovingly, caressingly picks the cat's neck with those sharp teeth. We got a new cat that decided to join us about 3 days ago. His name is Ginger. You can go outside and examine his teeth. Alright? They're quite sharp. But the cat will pick up the kitten and place it. That same mouth can eat a rat. Can the rat submit to the cat? So you have to become its kitten first. Okay? Are you understanding? And to become its kitten, or to become God's kitten, you have to leave a few things that He wants you to leave so that you can submit to Him. So that you could submit to Him. Otherwise, like the cat, He might devour you. He does not like anger, hatred, jealousy, pride, envy, and greed. So, in submitting to God, these are subtle impressions that we have carried since time immemorial. These are subtle impressions that we are carried since time immemorial. It is not very easy to relinquish on our own. How many of you got an anger problem in my satsang? Up, nicely up. Stand up, let the camera catch you. How many weeks in our satsang?
This is my second time.
This is only her second. She only attended our satsang twice. And she's a brave lady. I just feel sorry for her husband. Alright? I just feel sorry for her husband. And for some reason, God sent the most angry woman in my satsang. I really, if I have to estimate the anger that's in all of the woman species in my satsang, I might not find a mathematical amount just coming to mind. Alright? So the first thing we have to do is start abating our anger. See, the Bhagavad Gita is practical. It is not a myth. It is a living science. It helps to purify our own being. Alright? Bhagavad Gita is a living science. Now, when you are very angry, Umishka, your name is Umishka. Right? Let's look at Umishka because she is the bravest of the Mahakalis in my satsang. Mahadurgas. Alright? She's giving me the Mahakali look. What's your age, Mahakali?
21.
21. And angry. 21-year-old wife. Alright? Let's see how anger translates itself in the various forms in the body. Alright? And why isn't your husband yet?
He's not around.
Or did you scare him into not coming?
No.
Alright? It should have done this discourse so much more good. Alright? Because he would have verified what the Guru is saying. Alright? What's your husband's name? Lawrence. Alright. So let's look at this Lawrence and Umishka scenario when she is normal. Normal means the anger is there but subdued. So she say, Lawrence, have your supper. Or she might even say, my Lawrence, have your supper. And if that anger is right below the surface, she might say, babe, have your supper. Alright? And he's a tall chap. To be called babe, he really feel good, you know. And then Lawrence comes 3 hours late after going to the pub first. Now, Mishka, what will Lawrence hear?
Lawrence doesn't drink.
I'm just saying.
Oh, if he has to do.
You'll hear, ooh. I think Lawrence was a drinker until he met you. You'll hear, ooh. Alright? Okay, leave drinking. Lawrence comes about 5 hours late without informing Mahakali. And he walks through the door. What do you think is going to happen? Have your supper, babe. Tell us what will happen. It happened. You're 2 years together now?
Yeah, but 2.5 years.
Okay. Lawrence is not here. You have to talk on it here.
Why are you late? Why are you late?
You can see how many gods are in this, in my ashram. Not only this photograph.
Our phone is manager to ask you.
You can see poor Lawrence. So that anger will convert itself through the speech. No more now, come and have your supper, my babe. Let's go back to that sentence now. How will you ask him to have supper?
Do you want to eat?
I don't believe you, right? You understand? Anger is latent in everyone. Alright? Say somebody sent you on WhatsApp. Okay. Say somebody now sent you, while she's eating, a WhatsApp photograph of Lawrence sitting in a restaurant with a beautiful woman having supper there. And you have your bowls, you have a kettle in which you are boiling water to make tea, and you have spoons around you.
Okay, so I'll ask you. I'll ask you who it is first because I don't want to. What's the term? I don't want to. Yeah. So yeah, I don't want to assume. So I'll ask him who it is. And I know when Lawrence is lying.
Let's go to the lying part. Okay?
Yeah, so if he's lying, then obviously I'm going to get angry.
And after you get angry, this is what you are angry already, you admitted you are a ball of anger.
Yeah.
Alright?
And then French starts to kick in.
Kick in, alright? Friends start to kick in. This is where I was heading now.
Yeah.
So when you angry, when you normal, you speak in normal, calm, controlled words. Alright? Words are in control. When you angry, the same mouth starts emitting foul French, she said, alright? I have a devotee that's watching now from France, Elizabeth Haynes. Alright? She might send me a message, alright? She said French. Vulgarity starts spewing out of the mouth, which is uncontrolled. There are so many vulgar words in there which will just emit from your mouth uncontrollably. That is the transformation of your anger within. I want you to understand this part. The transformation of anger is now through your mouth in vulgar language. Alright? Okay, next now, and if he denies it, if you don't tell him it's a WhatsApp, but you just say you are sitting next to a girl in a pink dress in a restaurant and having supper, and when he denies it and say, no, I was at work, then what you going to do after the friends sing?
I'll show him the picture.
No, you'll whack him. You will hit him with something, the closest.
True.
Yes, I know. I'm a guru. You think I'm just sitting here? Right. So that anger now will transform into an action. Uncontrolled motor reaction. Are you following? Anger. Uncontrolled language, then uncontrolled motor action. Uncontrolled. So she will pick up whatever is there, and if I'm reading her correct, it will go towards the boiling water. And like this on the head, slowly on the crown of the head. Alright? Later, after he's burnt properly, then she might decide to hit him with a spoon. Okay? Can you see what anger does? Can you see what anger does, Shalen? Now, let's go back to the WhatsApp picture. Have you all heard of photo shooting? Photoshopping, sorry. Have you all heard of photoshopping? So Lawrence has an enemy, and he photoshopped a photo of a girl and he sent it to this bundle of anger. And 2 or 3 days later, whilst this bhai is in tubes in hospital, right, with no hair, pink bald head, she gets the information that this photo was photoshopped. Look what the anger did. Because if she did not have anger, poor Lawrence wouldn't be in hospital. Anger sent poor Lawrence to hospital. if she was calm and rational and investigated this entire scenario, no hospital. Right? Maybe nightmare for life, because now her husband with a pink head. You all understand, all of you? So from anger comes violence and delusion. And delusion. Because when you are in a fit of anger, you cannot see right from wrong. So ladies, please. I've had one successful Mahakali. She didn't come to satsang today. She has not been angry for 7 months. And she's pregnant. And her husband simply adores the Guru. Husband loves the Guru. He is not sleeping with his one eye open anymore. He is at peace. He never spoke in our satsang for 2 years. For the past 7 months, he's even making jokes. Okay? And our satsang is live, because we want others to learn from what we are doing. And the camera used to be on her very, very often in her anger days, because the Guru can read your aura. Guru knows who walked in angry in the satsang. You can come angry down my driveway and smile at the Guru. Guru knows. So Guru kept putting the camera on her until she has subdued her anger. Anger is poison, is it not? It's poison. It kills you, not the person you are angry at. It's like taking a knife, and instead of carving your enemy, you're carving yourself. Anger is self-inflicted pain. And these are the classes you need to come to. You need to hear these things, and this is why the Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Bhagavad Gita was relevant 5,000 years ago. Bhagavad Gita is relevant today, and Bhagavad Gita will be relevant 5,000 years later. And for my people that's listening for the first time, currently this creation has passed 155 trillion years. Just this creation. An entire cycle of creation lasts for 311 trillion, 40 billion years. So those of you that have anger, you carry anger only in this creation for 155 trillion years. Because when you migrate from body to body, these subtle impressions are carried with you from body to body. Alright, you have seen this. Some children are born singing. Some at the age of 3 or 4 start playing the piano. You carry both your good and bad into the next body. Alright? There is a section, and I'm saying this for my guests, there is a section in the Bhagavad Gita, you might not be here, or you might be here to hear, but I want you to understand that there is a chapter in chapter 4, verse 34, where Lord Shri Krishna instructs that every human should submit to a bona fide guru. It is God's instruction that every human should submit to a bona fide guru and ask questions submissively, in a good way. Guru, and you ask your question. Alright? In the same chapter and in the same context, verse 38 of the Bhagavad Gita states that it is only transcendental knowledge that burns up all your karmas from your previous lifetimes. And those of us that born in Sanatan Dharma, our substratum or our living principle is karma and reincarnation. So whatever we did in our previous life, we will reap in this life. Whatever we're doing in this life, we will reap in the next life. So wherever you are in life, if you submit and surrender to a guru, the guru has been nominated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead upon your surrender to remove all your afflictions. And I have proven it over the past 6 years as tangibly in these satsangs. So you can go on my Facebook and you will always hear of miracles happening, like Dhana himself. Stand up, Dhana. Turn around, let them see you. This 180-year-old relic, 67-year-old young Dhana, alright, he joined my satsang with a hip operation and he came in with 2 walking sticks. The first satsang he came in with 2 walking sticks. The second satsang he came in with 1 walking stick. The third satsang he came in with no walking stick, and he was informed by his professor that he won't walk normally again, neither he will be able to squat. He's 67, mind you. Neither will he be able to sit accurately in an accurate position. By him surrendering to the Guru, all these medical impossibilities disappear immediately, would immediately fail. So that verse, chapter 4, verse 34 and 38, Dhana himself proves, alright? Anyone else? Any other miracles here? Anyone want to say something about themselves? Skinny?
Before I joined this satsang, I had a back problem. My L4 and 5 was pressing onto my nerve.
Tell them what's L4 and 5, we don't know.
That's fine, that's fine.
Okay.
L4 and 5. We call it L4 and L5 from bottom up. And I couldn't bend. And when I joined the satsang, when Acharya blessed me, I can bend, I even helped go to Goshala, I laid blocks, I did everything, and now I don't get the back pain anymore.
Alright. He never say about the M and the A, how the alcohol was going in the mouth that he stopped. Alright. He just said about L3 and L4. Sunni, he never talk about M and A. Alcohol in the mouth stopped. Alright. After 2 weeks, he stopped drinking. Alright. And we have Hilda. Hilda is joining us after how long you joined us now, Hilda? Turn around, Hilda, let them see your forehead. Can you see the Namu on her? Alright, turn back, Hilda. Turn back. Hilda is with us for many years. She's here with her grandchildren. She's a pure vegetarian. She is a pure vegetarian and she is a loyal devotee of this satsang. Her life has changed in many, many ways. Alright. So I have shown, I'm not just reading the Bhagavad Gita, I'm showing you that the Bhagavad Gita works. And if you go onto our website, there's people that were dead that's alive. Alright? People that were dead, that had machines on them are alive. Alright? And this is how simple God is. This is how simple God is. Who made all these rules? God. When you break the rules and to find a way out for you, God is also not going to break his rules that he made. So he sends representatives called gurus. And the gurus can take you out of the transgressions of the rules made by God. Does it make sense? Yes, because we will all go and surrender directly to God. Then the rules become worthless. Isn't it? So God wants you to surrender through a guru, and when you have qualified through your surrender, then all your karmic actions are out. Alright? So again, just to explain, we are all born with a GPS program. Right? With our GPS program. When you find a guru, your GPS becomes undone. It becomes undone. Then you live through the GPS of the guru and the guru principle. Do you understand? So, you are out of destiny. When you surrender to a guru, you come out of destiny. And you work with him and you live now in the domain of the guru. So at age 36, if you're supposed to get cancer, and if you join the guru before age 36, will you get cancer? Because your destiny awarded you cancer. If you are not in destiny, then you are living now with the guru. Alright? GPS stands for what? Guru God Positioning System. Guru God Positioning System. Right? It is not easy to surrender to a guru. So do it mentally first. Do it mentally first. Try it. Go home today and try it, those of you, and see that a relationship builds between your mind and the consciousness of the guru. Alright? Like Hilda. Hilda comes to us maybe once in 8-9 months. But she's never far away from me. Hilda is not a millimeter away from me. Wherever she calls my name, I'm there. You understand? So this is how you build up the guru relationship. And take it seriously. It's a perfect science. NASA is relative science. NASA is finding us out. We don't have to look for NASA. You understand? NASA found the bridge of the Ramayana between India and Sri Lanka. NASA is relative science. We are absolute science. You are born in this beautiful Sanatan Dharma. If you listen to the guru, you don't need doctor, you don't need lawyer, you don't even need a bank account. You don't need loans, you don't need medical aid. You don't need anything. If you follow a guru, everything will take place in its absolute form in your life. You understand? All of you understand? Many of our devotees are experiencing that although you don't have a loaf of bread tonight, tomorrow morning you have breakfast. Alright? One of my devotees found 50 rand on a laptop. Okay? And I told her, 50 rand is too small for Guru. Keep it. But anything more than 1,000, she must run and leave it on this shrine. Okay? Let's work this whole scenario out before I close, right? I said God lives within your very soul. How far is God? There is no distance between you and God. The only thing that the Guru does, how far is the battery and the cell phone? In the cell phone. It's all within, isn't it? The only thing you need to insert is a cell phone. So the Guru is the man with it. Battery is there, phone is there. SIM card is what? Guru. You join a Guru, Guru put the SIM card in, how close you become to God. All of you understand? So this is the system created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Every saint has and every sinner has a Jai Shri Ram.